Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hope you're doing well. In this book by Mufti Menk called Motivational Moments, Book 1, there's a great quote here that I want to share with you. If you really want what you're praying for, you'll never be tired of waiting. The Almighty knows the beauty lies in the struggle. Trust Him. Beauty in the struggle. It is quite nice when you've been working at something and then you're able to finish it and enjoy the fruits of that long journey. And even sometimes you look back with a little nostalgia, how you had those struggle meals, how were you able to endure what you were able to endure, and you have now an epic tale to recite to your loved ones and whomever wants to hear it. And a good story has struggle in the end. If everything came easy, I don't think we would be as fascinated with it. It's awesome when you hear of a struggle. Something that took someone years to complete, or they endured many failures, and then you're like, wow. So when somebody is able to stay patient and not become overly impulsive, that can really help them to be seen as a heroic figure in the end. It mentions here as well that to trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you are being patient, you have to remember not to be full of anguishing despair. It can be very difficult depending on what it is you're waiting for. Another example, I think, is how you could be trying to conceive. You're waiting, taking the tests, and you're like, I want to have a baby. And then let's say you get pregnant and then you give birth to your baby and you have the baby in your arms. Your child grows up, you're old, and then you're just reminiscing on everything you went through to get that baby. Isn't that wonderful? You can think about that too. Or maybe it's also for farmers. They start out with a certain amount of livestock, it grows. Maybe they feel something too when they have successful calves showing up, like, alright, this one's healthy, this one's healthy. Could also just be a food truck where you buy it and then little by little more customers come and then you're doing pretty well. So being able to build something for it to succeed is wonderful. And it's also quite miraculous when people fail and they don't give up. It reminds me of Prophet Job. May Allah be pleased with him. How he had to endure, not lose hope, and he really is a role model for us. When you look at the battles that Khalid bin al-Walid went through, the heat, risking so much, marching, you want victory, and then the struggle of that, every single military campaign. Imagine what it must have been like to urge men on, make sure there's provision, the animals that have to be given water, all of it. And then when everything is settled, to be able to talk about those struggles. It's quite something, isn't it? So there's countless examples of people succeeding and then being able to give a wonderful story about the struggle. And I think it's natural for a lot of us to have disdain for people who were just given things too easily, easy come, easy go, and then they're just not really appreciating what they got, and then they dwindle it all away because they didn't really have to work for it. It's something to think about. Let me know what you think. And also, there's that example of you could be praying for something and then Allah doesn't give it to you because it's not meant for you. And if you would have got it, something disastrous would have occurred and you wouldn't have liked it. So that's important as well. But the clock ticks. People become impulsive, and in today's society, it's fast food, fast this, fast that. Every second counts. Those stock traders, you think about it, and you're like, wow, communication is so important for commerce. Politics, who has this news first? Who breaks the story? What journalist is able to get this niche topic covered before the other? So having patience in a world that is very fast is more difficult. People are like, I'm late for a very important date. No time to say hello, goodbye, I'm late. Alice in Wonderland. Just, they are on their way, and not that you shouldn't be punctual or have some pep in your step, but there are times where you just gotta wait it out. And those could be difficult to endure. So if you really want something, you'll be willing to wait for it. I saw an image, maybe I'll look through my screenshot, see if I have it, but it has a crocodile with its mouth open, and then it slowly turns to a skeleton as the snail is trying to get into its mouth. And say, you can be waiting for something and then it's not going to happen and then you fade away. So the balance of time. How long do you wait for something before you give up on it? How many times do you try at something before you realize it's just not going to grow? When to throw in the towel? These are all great nuances of life. And the paradox of, do you keep trying something and waiting, or do you take the hint that maybe that's just not destined for you? So when do you hang your hat up and decide, okay, this isn't working and I've tried really hard and I'm just going to go? No. Leave the table. It's quite fascinating. Beauty in the struggle. And it's hard sometimes as well to see the beauty when you're going through it, when you're in the thick of it. It can be hard. Sometimes we do reminisce on the struggle afterwards to the point where we're like, why couldn't we reminisce like that? Or not reminisce, but revel in when it was happening. But something to think about. Working hard for something, really wanting to acquire something, all of it. So many things you wait for in life, you desire, and how you have to be willing to keep going. I forget what country it was in. Was it an Asian? Was it Thailand, Laos? I don't remember. But there were some people trapped in a cave for 7 days. They had to wait for rescuers. They went to look for minerals. It flooded. They got stuck in there. They had to be very patient in that tight, closed environment. And I've watched so many wonderful fatal breakdowns. Sorry, I shouldn't say wonderful. What I mean by is informative. Breakdowns of when people went into caves and they got lost and they were not able to get out. So some people wait in a cave for rescue and it never comes. Or they have their scuba diving, like they're cave exploring underwater. Something happens, they get stuck. They're patient, thinking someone's coming for them, and no one comes in, then they're donezo. So it's just very interesting how there's that pause in the human being where stay, endure, or bolt for it, sprint. The gazelle versus the turtle. The snail versus the hawk. Steady wins the race. Speed, agility, sprinting. It's all miraculous. It's quite fascinating. Stealth, agility. All throughout the insect world, the animal kingdom, you see so many different examples. And then when it comes to us humans, it's very complex. Very complex on what we're supposed to do. Let me know what you think. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, and join the blog.